a very small handful of people in the whole world that create ice sculptures by hand.
3 minutes.
They call me the Ice Queen.
I play the chainsaw.
We're dealing with ice, and it's heavy, slippery.
You're killing me!
It's dangerous all around.
My name is Dominique Clell. They call me the Ice Queen.
Hey everybody, how are you? Tonight, I am going to perform my talent.
I'm an ice carver and the former Miss Ventura County.
Miss Dominique Colell.
As Miss Ventura County, I used ice sculpting as my talent, and I came out in an evening gown, and now everyone asks me to do it. After I won Miss Ventura County, my dad found an ice carver who would let me apprentice with them so I wouldn't embarrass ice carvers on stage. My ice sculpting business is Images in Ice. The business actually came on a whim. After Miss California, I started peddling my ice everywhere I went.
Perfect. Okay, a little heavier than I thought.
I bought a big walk-in freezer and we made the ice house. Turned into a business. I think people liked my work, so they kept buying it.
My name is Reverend Butter. I'm a first-generation Texan badass. I sliced ice and sacrifice any block of ice. I got the name Reverend Butter back in the day because I cut through the ice just like butter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Butter! Come on!
I'm very fortunate and blessed to be able to do this for a living. The name of my company is DLG Ice Factory. I've been sculpting ice for 11 years here in Houston, Texas. People actually sculpt ice in Texas. Whenever you look at the Weather Channel and you see a blizzard, it's us sculpting ice in Texas.
My name is Shintaro Okamoto, and I founded an ice sculpture studio with my father Takeo in New York City, and we've become an artist collective working with ice. We do our best to go beyond the swans and elevate the artistry of ice. I think both hands are having a little problems, so... Only here, right? I think it's good. Our job is to make the client's dream come true. Twinkle, twinkle.
I think we're gonna raise it up a little bit to just make it a little more dramatic. I'm the business guy, I'm the design guy. So you're gonna take away all the rough cuts here.
My father does ice carving in the studio.
Finish all the chainsaw work. Right.
Chainsaw is an amazing tool, especially the way my father really manipulates it. It's incredible how much finesse can come from such brute-looking machine.
That's great. Right.
Ice can be taken to a whole nother level on the mainstream. It's still underground art.
There are competitions in the winter where all ice sculptors come together to see who can create the largest, most spectacular sculptures.
A lot of these ice sculpting competitions take place all over the world.
There's teams from Russia, France, China.
I've seen some amazing pieces, from giant insects, humongous tigers, seascapes, and pretty much small villages that you can even live in if you chose to.
My dad and I have gone to Fairbanks, Alaska at the World Championship. We got the bronze medal. It was a 40-foot long wave, about 20 feet tall, and then a giant surfer surfing down it.
In Fairbanks, Alaska, we did a 30-foot crucifix. It had 9-foot guardian angels on the sides. In the end, we took third in the world.
The biggest sculpture that my father has created is an archery man standing higher than 20 feet. And he won a silver medal for Nagano Olympics.
Sculpting ice for these ice competitions, it's very stressful. You never know what's going to happen. You can have it shatter on you instantly. That's every ice sculptor's nightmare.
Komodo Studio is definitely targeting high-end culture and events in New York City. So I'm doing an ice sculpture for Chris Grier. He owns Lux & Co., which is a high-end production company. He creates events for music and fashion execs.
I'm putting together this huge birthday party. I want to do like a huge ice sculpture, like a life-size ice sculpture, like maybe in the image of me.
Okay. So something like this. Something like this. I think it's gonna all come together. We'll take some measurements from there. All right? Cool. All right, Chris. I need to take some pictures for the sculptures.
So I'm taking my shirt off only if you're gonna give me some abs.
Well,
I need an 8-pack.
I'll give you 8. You can get 12
Well,
pack.
there we
whatever
go.
you want.
We do the 12-pack. I'm rocking with it. No body whatsoever.
It's all good. I told you
Oh,
that.
and the most important thing.
Yeah.
I need a model's nose.
Your model's nose?
Yes, so we just gotta make my nose just a little thinner.
So I just want to get the proportions. So if you can take that pose again.
Like this?
There you go. There
I
you
got
go.
Whitney playing in my mind right now.
Real quick. Okay, Chris. I think I got all the numbers.
You got everything?
That's it.
You got the abs?
Yeah,
the
I got
muscles?
everything. All good.
Sculpting Chris is going to be tricky because we have to really capture the essence of him. Full figure sculpture usually starts at around $4,000, can go up to $10,000, $15,000, and it's going to take us about 3 days to make them.
I do a lot of work for the Houston Museum of Natural Science. They have a big event for their VIP donors. So Nancy and Leslie, the special event coordinator, came by and see me to give me a big job. It's like, we're gonna make out there. It's good. They're having an event for their Terracotta Warrior exhibit. The Terracotta Warriors are thousands of life-size clay warriors that were buried with the first emperor of China to protect them. This is a really big project, so I brought in Buddy to help me design it. I met him through the competition circuit. Together, me and Buddy are Team Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And we travel the world and sculpt competitions together. Well, we had the museum ladies come through, and they want us to duplicate the Terracotta Warrior exhibit. So we got some of these figures here for samples. We'll come upstairs, throw down a design. I'll explain what it's all about.
What's the Terracotta Warriors?
Well, the first emperor of China was buried with like 6,000 of these warriors. Kind of like the Egyptians were.
Live warriors?
No. Clay warriors, terracotta, hence, you know.
Why?
The f do I know?
This week is really gonna be stressful. I've got 5 wedding sculptures to do. I have a performance, so the heat is really on now. Harvesting the ice is the process of freezing the ice and removing it from the ice makers. You gotta get good blocks of ice before I can even touch it with my chainsaw. So it's really the most important thing.
Okay, so the climb out machine is designed as 2 big ice block makers. I use super purified water for this. It takes 45 gallons and it takes 4 days to make the 2 blocks of ice. We also circulate the impurities in the oxygen and keep them at the top. What freezes at the bottom is clear ice.
Hold this in here, would you please?
My dad is a really big part of my business. He's my main delivery guy. He also harvests the ice for me. He prepares the ice with me. I gotta get the top of the ice completely dry, because when I'm harvesting it, or when my dad's harvesting it, and he bumps the ice, if the water at all is still on the ice, it'll run down, and because the bottom of the ice is at negative 40 degrees, it'll fracture and pop, like he's done with dozens of blocks. I tell it how it is.
We have to stack the ice almost 6 feet tall.
Ice is cold, wet, slippery, heavy. It's a dangerous material to work with.
So here's a sketch we have for Chris.
He's a really important client of ours. I think one of the attractions of being able to have an ice studio in New York City is that we get to work with the best of the best.
The point of the sculpture is to make Chris as life-size as possible.
I'm an artist. I got my MFA in New York City.
Essentially, it's going to be a very frontal piece.
Okay. So whether I like it or not, I do everything outside of production. I'm the business guy, I'm the design guy, I'm the guy who educates the clients what's possible with ice.
I mean, it's a big project, but I think it'll look gorgeous.
All right.
Cool. My father's now going to take the ice out for the sculpture. So for the crisp figure, the ball block is gonna weigh probably around 750 pounds. Once it gets carved down, the finished piece will weigh about 450, 500 pounds. We have to stack the ice almost 6 feet tall.
Stacking ice is always tricky and nerve-wracking. Ice is cold, wet, slippery, heavy.
Each block is about 300 pounds.
It's a dangerous material to work with, so we have to be very careful all the time.
Ready? Okay. There we go. That's good, that's good. Often when we fuse ice blocks, we use the large hand saws. All right.
We fuse the ice together by sawing the seam, and that creates a slush, allow for a strong bond and refreeze.
Which is kind of a very old school way of fusing blocks. Safety alone is quite stressful working with ice.
Grab a seat, man.
Wow.
For the Houston Museum of Natural Science, we decided to do 20 identical replicas of these terracotta warriors, with the focal point being a 4-horse drawn carriage with the emperor inside that was just gonna blow their minds. For this project, we need a good week and a half to design, plan, and sculpt the terracotta warriors, as well as 6,000 pounds of ice. You can easily make a living doing these sculptures. Most sculptures range between $350 to $500, with some of the big projects ranging anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. I think I bit off more than I can chew, but I definitely have a big appetite, so we're gonna make it happen.
I have a new client, Susan, with an amazing backyard. She wants to feature it, and she wants 2 fountains. She wants flowers frozen in the ice. It's huge, it's crazy, it's a lot of work.
Hey, Renee, can you help me move this?
I couldn't do this alone. I get a lot of help from my dad and my fiance, Renee. All the tools, all the ice, it's really hard to lift.
Push it all the way over, will you?
I can carve about 6 to 8 hours before my back goes out.
I use my chainsaw as a pencil and I sketch whatever I'm gonna make on the ice. And today I'm sketching 2 identical but in reverse angelfish.
One of my specialties is freezing flowers in ice.
So freezing flowers in the ice is actually one of the hardest things to do because as the ice is freezing, you have to put all the flowers in there just at the right time so that it's the right depth so that when the ice is finished freezing, all the flowers are completely covered. I didn't think it would be so difficult, but carving around the flowers is becoming a problem.
The flowers in the ice make the ice more unstable, so it can easily crack. Well, the blocks of ice are worth $100 to $400. So when they pop, that's $100 to $400 that's gone, like that. I think I'm a little bit nervous about doing this. I really want to impress Susan with this ice sculpture.
Dominique thinks the sculpture is for Susan, but the truth is I'm planning a surprise shower for Dominique at Susan's house.
A lot of companies use machines to create ice fabrications, is what we call them. We still use the artisan method, our hands, chisels, and chainsaws.
The whole industry these days is moving to the computerized side, where they let computers carve the ice for them. Everybody thinks, well, you have to do the computerized tools because if you don't, you're going to get thrown behind. But it's not true, and we're living proof that it's not true.
Basically, this is a 6-pronged chipper. This was used back in the day to sculpt ice. Chainsaw replaced it. So we use it to sketch now, so I'm pretty much sketching out an outline of what I'm going to sculpt. Besides that, it's time to cut ice. After we've outlined it with the chipper, we want to outline it with our chainsaw. This is a medium that is always melting. So with the chainsaw, we'll put in a groove deep enough to where it'll last about a good hour, which is about enough time to finish the sculpture.
Oh, it's a crack. What? It's a crack.
When we're stacking ice, the ice cracked. If the sculpture breaks, we have to start. So I'm doing an ice sculpture for Chris Grier, and it's actually his birthday, so we're gonna create a life-size sculpture of Chris.
Oh, it's a crack. What? It's a crack. I want to talk about the crack.
When we're stacking ice, the ice cracked from the hot air around it.
We have to be careful pulling the ice out from the ice machine because the temperature difference between the core temperature of the block, which is below freezing, and the surrounding air is so different that there's a high chance of the block cracking. It's like putting, ice cube in warm Coke. The ice constantly wants to burst. It's so hot outside, right? Yeah, right.
We had to figure out a way to work around the crack.
I think the only thing you can't have to worry about is the wrist part, but I think you got enough ice surrounding that. Yeah, I think okay. Yeah. Right? We have duct tape for you, okay? Yeah, right.
First, my father uses an ice pick to draw the figure onto the sculpture. Once he has that established, he uses a V-chisel to really establish the lines. And then he uses the drills to really etch the lines deeply to prepare for the chainsaws. So he has to do all these work onto the ice while he's being very careful of the crack. If the sculpture breaks, we have to start all over.
For this project, I focused on the warriors, and Buddy focused on the horses, and we both collaborated on the carriage. We use a regular household chainsaw. We use a chainsaw to remove the bulk of the ice, create a great silhouette before you give it its three-dimensional form. To carve with a chainsaw, it does feel powerful and sexy.
You take a machine, that you control, you chop into something, and ice is such an easy medium that you can really rip through it. You can carve it very fast.
The chainsaw basically is an extension of your hand. It's a tool the same as a surgeon using a scalpel. My chainsaw is pretty much my third arm, and I've learned over the years how to control it with the precision of a surgeon.
Chainsaw is an amazing tool, especially the way my father really manipulates it. It's incredible how much finesse can come from such brute-looking machine. I would say no matter what kind of design we're sculpting, about 70% of the work is done with chainsaws. The next stage is to use the large ice chisels to really establish the basic form of the sculpture.
So here we have a rough outline of pretty much what we have to sculpt. You can see the silhouette all cut out. It's got the shape of the warrior, but we still have to give it its three-dimensional form. The part of the process I love the best is actually using my chisels. You actually sculpt. Chainsaws remove the bulk of the ice, but sculpting it with razor-sharp chisels, that's a whole nother feeling. We use the chisels to give the sculpture shape, form, to kind of rough out the corners and give it a nice round three-dimensional aspect.
I have a huge ice-filled day in front of me. I've got one wedding with flowers frozen in the ice. I've got another wedding with a monogram and another wedding with a monogram luge. And to top it off, I have an ice performance tonight.
All right, we're almost here. 2 more lights to go. We're 3 minutes behind schedule.
Go, you can do it.
Not being on time is one of the worst feelings in the world for an ice carver.
So we're looking at right here in the middle?
Because if you get there too early, the ice starts melting.
This is a lot of direct sunlight. What time are your guests showing up?
6:30 is the way.
Oh my.
If you get there too late, the party starts.
Let's go. Okay, get it inside.
Ice carving, the delivery is a on-time, perfect timing thing.
Okay, a little heavier than I thought.
Is
See how easy it is to turn? So if the guests are coming in this way and you want to turn just for the guests to see it, totally easy to do. Look, you got an extra workout today. Yeah. It looks beautiful. Thanks. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
It's called art. She's an artist. A real artist.
I have a performance to do.
A buddy is exactly that. He's your buddy. I met him through the competition circuit. He's got 10 years more experience. I love working with Buddy. What are you working on?
Working on the horse.
Call that a horse?
Call your mom. Here's our head. Put water on it, put the two pieces together, and that's what causes them to glue together. The one cold ice glues to the warmer ice.
It looks like a horsey.
Now our head's froze on it. We're gonna finish shaping this out, sand it, and then we'll detail the whole thing all at once. Butter and I use different tools because we were trained differently under different people.
Before you detail any sculpture, you want to get a really good silhouette. The best thing to use for it is the keyhole saw. Is that funny?
This is an angle grinder. It's a high-speed death device that'll remove your fingers and knuckles pretty quick. Takes away all those high spots and makes it nice and smooth, really shapes it out.
Everybody's got a personal preference. This right here, put an angle grinder to shame.
Come on, Keisha. I'll just throw it at him.
I really thought he was going to throw it at me.
I'm super competitive with Butter because of the reason that we're both still that hand-carving personality.
We kind of push each other. It's a friendly competition. There's no animosity and egos involved, but we do push each other to strive to be better than the last sculpture. So this is what we call a burr bit. This is attached to a Dremel, and what this does, it's kind of like the modern day ice sculptor uses this as a chisel. You could really sculpt detailed ice sculptures down to eyelashes. All right. When this warrior's done, just need to give him a bath, get some of this snow off. Any snow, any debris that's on the sculpture, wash it right off.
We're gonna go ahead and chop the head off our little horsey here because he's a little bit too big. So we're gonna take it off right here at the seams, put it in the freezer, and we just got a nice little tiny square body to carry around.
Also, we're gonna learn a little lesson in trust. I trust you, buddy. Buddy chose to cut the head off the horses because it's easier for us to piece it together on site than try to transport a 700-pound horse.
And we got a headless horse.
The father's now going to enter the high detail, the stage of the sculpture. We're making a portrait replica of Chris. The facial structures, the muscle structure, all that becomes very important. And you really can do that best inside a freezer.
This is gonna be hard to move.
I mean, in general, we don't like to move the sculpture once it's set for carving. This particular design is very top-heavy. Just the shock of moving left and right, a worst-case scenario, ice will break.
So it's hot, it's almost 80 degrees now. Now we have to hurry. The sculpture's exposed, it's melting, the clock is ticking.
Yeah, is it popping?
All of us had to really gingerly tilt the sculpture.
I think it's just exactly time. I think just exactly.
And get it into the freezer.
Okay.
Go in.
All right. We got it.
Once we go in the freezer, we're going to use the
Hand chisels and hand saws that can make, you know, buckles of the buttons to shoelaces to, you know, facial features.
Sculpting Chris is going to be tricky because we have to really capture the essence of him and often exaggerate those features so that when the sculpture melts, it'll continue to resemble him. It's gonna now take about 5 more hours.
I have a performance to do tonight, and I have forgotten to get all of my equipment ready. Ah, crap! If you can go around to the shed and get my acetylene torch out and the gas chainsaw, grab the Husqvarna, and we've got to fill it up and prime it and see if it's able to work.
That is an awesome thing to wait until the last minute to do. Dominique is an artistically minded person.
I can't remember if I filled the acetylene torch or not, so...
Did you leave these out? I like to have things done well in advance so that if anything goes wrong, you know, you can actually do something about it.
He's gonna be so mad.
Hey, it's her ulcer, right?
Okay, so Renee and I are headed to the Jazz Festival. I need to get there on time and set the stage and make sure everything's good. And I asked him, do you know where we're going?
Trust me. Just stop worrying.
Well, it's not you that has to get up there in an evening gown and carve something and...
Of all the things to worry about, this is probably the last thing you should be worrying about. It's the acetylene that would have been helpful to have had in advance.
Well, I disagree with you.
This is out of control.
I can do this in
Let's do it. We're gonna start now. We have lots of ice to load and wrap for delivery. The truck is not refrigerated because once it gets wrapped, it holds a good hour, hour and a half. Down. Okay. You have enough clearance on the top?
Should be okay.
Should be okay. Good. That's comforting. So when we were loading the sculpture, once we went into the van, we heard a very specific ping coming from the sculpture. What does that sound? Yeah, you didn't hear it? Yeah, sorry. That ping? Okay. Well, I thought we heard a little ping that sounded like ice popping or cracking.
But apparently no one heard it. But I heard it, Dad heard it. Hopefully it was a very clean pop, so it's a clean break.
Today's D-Day. We got a big setup at the Museum of Natural Science. 20 terracotta warriors, a big wagon, 4 horses. We basically have a 45-minute window to do 3 hours of work, and time's a big factor right now. 4-5. You can see they rock the side ponytail, because that's the only way to rock it. And I'm gonna call him Butter. It's very stressful to move this ice around. You can have it shatter on you instantly. With the opposing temperatures of a very ice-cold freezer and a humid, hot Texas day, as soon as you pull it out, it can just shatter or break. All right, see this right here? Be very careful. This one already has a hairline fracture. Do not bump anything. Medallions, bubble wrap. We still got a lot to do. Let's hurry up. Let's go. Most of the time for deliveries, we use our ambulance, Large Marge. She's my trusted companion. We've never, ever showed up late. And with all the bells and whistles and sirens, there's no reason to, you know? So we got everything loaded in the truck. We're ready to go. We got a 3-car caravan. We take off, and then for some reason, I go one way, Buddy goes another. He just went north, but we're supposed to go south. It's gonna take him a good half an hour just to U-turn around. I'm on the freeway, I'm freaking out. Buddy, I think he's going out of town. It's time for some action. I decided to go straight because I was busy staring at where the hell Buddy's going. Move, move, move!
No idea where I was going.
Where the are you?
Thank God for cell phones.
Best way is bins. We're going to Museum of Natural Science. So we get to the museum's loading dock, and the catering company already took our spot. So So we got to squeeze right next to them and share the dock that was originally reserved for us. All right, this is jacked up.
So we're going to the Camarillo Jazz Festival. It's a huge jazz festival, and I am opening for the headliner. And they've asked me to come in my gown and crown and carve another crown.
Hey everybody, how are you? Guys, where's my guitar? Oh, this right, I don't play the guitar. I play the chainsaw.
So I start carving a cute little ice crown. I think people like seeing the ball gown and the crown and a chainsaw. It contradicts itself. Most girls that dress up, they don't even want to walk through mud. And I'm out there with a chainsaw. What I do is a show. Whatever fits the venue, whatever fits the music going on behind, that's what I wear.
Wait! Grab it! It'll still work!
I think I'd be perfectly happy if every little girl had her own chainsaw and knew how to use it better than the boys. So afterward, I'm just relieved it's done. I can finally sleep. It is very, very stressful delivering the ice and planning the wedding. I don't have much time, and I still have a giant 6-block tabletop ice sculpture with 2 fountains to do for Susan.
Eventually, we all made it on time. We met back up at the museum, and then things got a little crazy. Hey, boss, can we get these out of the way, please? We have exactly 1 hour and 15 minutes to set everything up. And yeah, it's a bit stressful because we got people in our way now. With it, that's perfect. Yes, sir.
How much longer on bringing this stuff in?
By 6 o'clock, we'll be taken care of.
Because we got a thunderstorm coming.
You know what? I've done this in the rain. I can do it wet. So we'll make it happen.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy, this way.
What's that?
Before that first person walks in, we'll be out of there. All right, watch your toes, everybody. And the museum is still open, so aside having the obstacle of the caterers, I got the clients and patrons just watching and pretty much getting in our way. So we're unloading, we're getting things ready, we're moving things. Things seem to appear great, and then all of a sudden, one of our wheels from the carriage is busted. We piece it together like a jigsaw puzzle, squeeze a bit of water on it, and pray that it's gonna freeze together. Got 15 minutes to walk. So it's the day of the museum party. Got everything where it needs to be. We're unloading. It's starting to rain like a monsoon. And then all of a sudden, my crew breaks the ankles off this terracotta warrior. Come on, grab the next one. Freaking out. You're killing me! You're killing me! So fortunately, we had an extra block of ice, and I had to get to work again.
It's pouring rain on the ice sculptures, and the rain is a terrible enemy for ice sculptures. As soon as it hits it, it can start to crack it, immediately gets wet, starts dripping. You're dripping water as you go in.
All right, chainsaw, I need that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I realized my chainsaw's back at the ambulance in the middle of this monsoon, so I gotta run through the rain, grab my chainsaw, come back, and knock this warrior out before the event even starts. It's one of them days, right? At this point, I'm soaking wet, trying to make this happen, trying not to get electrocuted.
I'm the only one upstairs doing the setup with 50 different pieces of ice and guys running ice up who have no idea where it's for or what it's going. It's not that way, it's the other way. That's better. 20 warriors all have separate heads and they have to go together in a certain way. I'm now guessing because Butter's down on the dock recarving a broken piece.
That's the last one we'll take out. We got people showing up in 20 minutes. Way behind. After we put up the carriage, then we got to line the soldiers all around the carriage. Meanwhile, the floor in the museum is getting wet because we're bringing in soaking wet sculptures from this monsoon. And I don't know how we're going to get this done on time.
So we're setting up sculpture at the Nikki Beach Club. It's time to take the blankets off the sculptures. We slowly peel the blankets off.
Okay, take it out, sorry. There you go. Oh, great, no crack. All right, we got it.
Now we have to hurry. The sculpture is melting, and we only have half an hour before the event starts.
Don't run me over. Okay, that should be good.
The next day, we get to Susan's house.
Yeah, how are you? Okay, so
All right.
late. I was really nervous that we weren't going to have this done in time.
Okay.
Okay. So, what do you need me to do?
We've got to get this thing set up fast, so I'm in panic mode.
Dominique thinks the sculpture is for Susan.
I can't wait to see this.
I think you're gonna love it. I really do.
She has no idea that this ice sculpture is actually for her for a surprise party that I'm throwing. Besides sculpting ice, Dominique also coaches cross country. She has no idea that her cross country girls are in on the surprise. She's going to be so shocked.
Hurry, get down. Hurry.
You're such a brat. Light as a feather.
How much I love you, please.
A lot. You love me a lot.
Oh my God.
I know, it's totally gonna fit in perfectly in your backyard.
Perfect.
The only thing that was odd was that the guests still weren't there. I always have an audience when I set up ice, especially when it's something big.
She has no idea that her cross country girls are hiding inside waiting for her. She's going to be really shocked.
Now we have to hurry. It's melting, and we only have half an hour before the event starts. We have to make adjustments on site. The clock is ticking.
Okay, 2 minutes.
But we got it done with a few minutes to spare.
I got my abs.
That's the thing.
There
You
you
get
go.
touched it. You get touched to believe it.
Yeah. And you chisel my nose like an actor, remember? Here we go. I got the model nose now. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Look forward to the next
Thank you,
one.
sir.
So we've got the sculpture up, the fountain's going, everything's perfect, and I'm ready to take off and get out of there before her guests arrive. Good, we're good.
I need to talk to you really quick about what else to do with this.
She starts talking to me, and I'm kind of like, Susan, shouldn't I go? Shouldn't I go? And then all of a sudden,
Surprise!
There you go. It's not my birthday yet.
Happy bridal shower!
You guys saw me.
I just wanted you to know, Pete planned it.
Runner.
You did?
well, it turned out that they all got together and planned the surprise bridal shower for me.
It's insane trying to get all these girls together. High school girls, all of her cross-country runners, trying to keep the secret while they're in on it, and it was very stressful. She's not a big fan of surprises.
I did all this work for my own party? The check better not bounce.
I thought it was so sweet that Renee had gotten all the girls there and took it upon himself to do it. It was really cool.
I hope she doesn't shoot me later on.
What what was so cool about the evening, this is the first time I got to take a drink out of my own ice fountain. I'm so excited to be now like one of the guests that I carve ice for.
So I finished this warrior. I gotta run back upstairs. I gotta help Buddy set all this up. We got all the heads to put on the warriors, and I'm trying my damnedest to make this happen. You can tell I'm not under pressure, huh?
3 minutes.
Good job, buddy. Great job, buddy. Let's get out of here. People are coming. In the past 2 weeks, we've carved 7.5 tons of ice, which is a lot. What's that? About 15,000 pounds?
Yep.
Pretty much.
A little bit of blood.
For 3 hours.
Lots of sweat.
Yeah. Blood, sweat, and beers, huh?
Blood, sweat, and beers.
I think one of the main things I like about the ice carving, I get to be creative, I get to be an artist. I love to see people's reactions when they see the ice.
What excites me about it is it's a temporary medium. It disappears before your eyes. It's not something you can keep. I've done thousands and thousands of ice sculptures, yet they're not around.
What makes ice special is that it's that one-time